Welcome back. Looks like we're going to check out the latest Ananke version. So what I've done is I put a bunch of prompts at the top. Let's go full screen on this. Just a bunch of these are all taken from the images that are submitted to civitai. So you can just grab any of these. It uses my aspect size, which you can grab on my GitHub. There'll be a link in the video description. You can just git clone it into your custom nodes. What it does is it just basically makes sure it's got a safe aspect ratio, which is optimized for the model. Yeah, funny random numbers on the height and width can cause problems. So this helps you out. So let's walk through it because there's a couple of things going on here. It's pretty simple, but may as well. So first of all, we've got our checkpoint loader, right? I've got it on RealVisXL v3. We've also got Photo Style Lora XL. Both of those are available on Civit. And then we're using a Lora stack with Comfy Roll Studio. That goes and gets applied into the clip. All right. And then we have our prompt. So we have our positive and we have our negative. Pretty standard stuff so far. And then we have a seed. Right now it's fixed at whatever it was at. I've set the model to SDXL, which gives us the optimum total pixels for the generation. And then we have our CFG. I'll label these CFG, denoise, and steps. Then we have our sampler and our scheduler. And they go across into the clip encoder. There's the latent. And it's going to do the first pass. And the first pass skips past all that. Goes straight to the VAE decoder. And then we get our preview. See, what I probably could do, actually, just to make this a little bit more clean, is just take that back to there. What I've done is I've put the preview over here so you can kind of see what the first pass looked like compared to what it ended up looking like. In the original workflow, it did 2 passes, and the second pass was at full denoise 1.0, right? What I basically discovered was with this aspect ratio business that we're doing and the clean rounding, I'm sure there are aspect ratio nodes out there that do this as well, but I'd never really mess around with it. So what we've done is we've created our clean image and then sent it off to be sort of previewed, I guess, over there. And what happens then is the image comes down and the image splits into the tiled VAE encoder because they can get big. If you're using like 1:8 for a super wide, if you want to do some big aspect ratio stuff, it's going to get a bit strange. So obviously at that point, you're going to use you're going to use tiled to help, right? I did experiment with making things bigger on the way into this, but it doesn't really work as well as it does with Cascade. And then what we do is we take the image that's been generated and we put it into the ControlNet, right? And what I've done for everyone is I've split it up. So we've got ControlNet depth is here. I'm using Zoe because I think it does well. I've given you all of them. You have to have inputs to every layer of the ControlNet stacks. So I figured it made sense to just have a ControlNet stack for depth, a stack for Canny, and a stack for OpenPose and Sketch, because there's not so many preprocessors for this one. What I've done is I've put in the basics for you. So for ControlNet depth, we've got Midas, Zoe, and Lerez. If you want to add in Marigold, you could chuck it in up there, but that's a whole other custom node. So I wanted to carry on. So what it's doing is it's doing the depth estimation, giving you a preview of the depth estimation, and sending it into the stack. I've got these off and this one on. So it's nice so you can just switch between them. Obviously, all you've got to do is control select, control drag select and control B to, bypass the nodes. If I wanted to see what it looked like but not use it, just don't change the control here and turn them back on, essentially. And then if you think you're getting a better result from the other model, go ahead and turn it off and turn it on. So it's nice and easy to use. Same thing's going on here with Canny, because we've got Canny Edge, Soft Edge, Anime Line Art. There's a bunch of different ones. So all three again. Why have I hooked it up upside down? So this one to the image 1, this one to image 2, this one to image 3. And I'm using, like I said, HED soft edge lines. And then lastly, for OpenPose Sketch, I generally turn OpenPose off because it is the slowest. I find sometimes it's slower than even depth. And depth takes quite a while compared to the rest. So if I don't have people in what I'm doing, or if I don't think it's going to actually pick up the person, you know, in what I'm doing, just turn it off, because it's going to make the generations much faster. Because yeah. All right. So I always leave Sketch on. The reason I've got 2 open poses with one of them turned off is because one of them has slightly different settings. Right. So let's move on. So we've got our ControlNet from the generated image. Okay. And then we've also done the tiled VAE encode of the image. So we're passing that in. So we're saying, you know, take this image, do image to image with it, and use it as a ControlNet guide. So then it's further aligning with what it looked like. But then what I do is I hit between 0.5 and 0.75 denoise. I think you can get away with 1 actually, just like before, and it will be a lot like the original. But I think because people were saying, oh, I want it to look like the first pass. And the thing is that a lot of the time now with these online services, you never get to see the first pass. There might have been 10 first passes that were all evaluated by a vision for aesthetic score. And then, you know, you only get to see the good ones. And they were doing stuff like that on Midjourney over a year ago. So, you know, when we make our images, it's all about the last image to me. Because the thing is, you could still do detailing and stuff before the upscaler pass. Everything I do after the last VAE, you can do post-processing, you can do in-paint detailing, you can do face fixing, face swapping, everything like that comes after this last bit. So let's just do a quick note here. So if I was to say 1 to 1, it's going to give me 1024 by 1024. Okay. If I was to say 2 to 1, it's going to make sure that it totals the same pixel count. So what that means is if you do extreme aspect ratios, it's going to get really small, right? And so like on one side is going to get really small, one side is going to get really big. Okay. So when you come to push it through here, the tiling helps. Okay. But what I'm trying to say is this is why I have this set up at the end. So when you get to the end, you might just have it like that. You might just have it like that. So this is just the output. It'll give you just the output. My idea is always to upscale it by at least twice at the end, 2 or 4 times. But I found that going up to 2048 on one side, still keeping the multiple of 16, and then doing a 2x with foolhardy mimicry, same idea, but only 2x, is better than doing a straight 4x. But it's up to you, you know, it depends, because I was trying to aim at, we'll do a generation and see. I was trying to aim at making the second pass like the first pass, but getting this extra detail. So I believe if I just check, I've got it on denoise 0.52. We're doing 30 steps. And I've got it set up to do the same thing on both sides. You can mess around with making, you know, different, you know, you don't have to do the same thing on both sides. We're using a watercolor style as well. I'm using a photographic Lora to sharpen up the lines. Normally I say no railway, but I didn't put that in the negative. It loves making railways with this prompt. It's beautiful though. So as you can see down here, if we just bring this up a bit, because we've changed the side of the screen. Yeah, okay, that'll do. So what it is it's done a black and white sketch, it's done canny lines, and it's done a depth, and then it's done image to image with all of that together. And obviously it's got the Lora loader and all that. And so then we go from this, right, to this. And like I said, it's got more detail now. It's got more detail. And it's still got the watercolor style, which is what I wanted. If I wanted to play around with it to make it more, so you can add more detail with more denoise, or you can make it more like the original by reducing it. So, and it's quite sensitive as well. So like if I went down to 4.5, it's probably going to be quite visible. And the denoise only controls stage 2. The stage 1 is always 1 because it's just text to image. And 9 times out of 10, I was getting increased coherence and quality from doing this without losing the original image, but it's going to add a few little flourishes here and there. So there you go. I've decreased the denoise, and it is a little bit different actually. It's ever so slightly, so you can see there's like a hulking mass in the distance there with like a round blob. Now we've got a bridge, and it's sort of smaller or further away rather. But the structure of the sort of architecture is retained. Also, there's like a pod. If you look in this one, the original, this is just kind of like a weird pod thing. It's like a bulge coming out there. And if we look at this one, it's kind of tried to turn it into some kind of thing that's attached rather than it just sort of being a bulging out piece. I don't know, it's subtle. There's other things as well, like the wire. The wire here is almost not there, whereas the wire here is a little bit more distinct. It's only some little things, but I think they do count. So anyway, like I said, this is the new version, so I'll be releasing this. Just to run through the models that we used. Obviously, we used RealViz. We used this photo style Lora. You can find both of those on civitai just by typing them in the search bar. We also are using the XL ControlNet Lora depth rank 128s. And we're using depth, we're using canny, we're using sketch, and we're using OpenPose XL2. All of those are available in the manager under install models. So if you run into any problems, hit me up in the comments. Enjoy using this one. Leave us a review on Civit. And yeah, that's about it for this one. So I'll see you in the next one.